what goes through your mind when you're on top, and you're probably thinking about how your stomach looks from that angle. You're wondering if your chest is moving in a weird way. You're questioning whether you're doing it right, whether you look awkward, whether he's secretly wishing you'd just switch positions already. Maybe you're worried about your thighs getting tired too quickly. Maybe you're thinking about whether you're supposed to bounce or grind or do some combination of both. Maybe you've tried it before and felt so self-conscious that you couldn't even enjoy yourself. Here's what you need to know right now. Every single one of these thoughts is completely normal. Most women feel some version of this anxiety when they're on top. The difference between women who avoid this position entirely and women who absolutely own it isn't confidence that magically appeared one day. It's understanding a few key things about what's actually happening in his mind, what actually feels good for both of you, and how to make small adjustments that transform the entire experience. This video isn't about judging you or making you feel like you need to perform like some fantasy version of yourself. It's about giving you practical tools that make being on top feel powerful, pleasurable, and honestly pretty addictive once you understand how it works. While you're up there cataloging every perceived flaw and wondering if you're doing it wrong, want to know what's actually going through his mind? He's absolutely mesmerized. For most men, having you on top ranks as one of their favorite positions, and it has very little to do with whether you're moving perfectly or look like a professional. Here's the psychological reality. When you're on top, he gets to see you in a position of control and confidence. He gets to watch your face, your body, your reactions. He gets to witness you taking what you want instead of just receiving what he gives. That visual alone is incredibly powerful for him. Most men spend their entire intimate lives being the initiator, the driver, the one making decisions and leading the experience. When you're on top, he gets a rare moment of surrender where he can just receive and react. He's not analyzing your technique or comparing you to anyone else. He's usually thinking something along the lines of, "This is incredible," and hoping you don't stop. The pressure you feel to perform perfectly, that's coming from inside your own head, not from him. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 specific tips that will completely transform how you experience being on top. These aren't complicated gymnastics moves or things that require special flexibility. They're simple adjustments to your mindset, your positioning, your movement patterns, and your awareness that make everything feel easier and more pleasurable. We'll cover the mental shift that removes performance anxiety, the body positioning that prevents exhaustion, the movement patterns that feel good for both of you, the psychological elements that drive him absolutely wild, and how to tune into what's actually working so you can adjust in real time. You don't need to be hypersexual or wildly adventurous. You just need to be open to trying a few small changes. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap for making being on top one of your favorite positions instead of something you dread or avoid. Let's start with the foundation. Tip number 1, owning the throne, the mindset shift that changes everything. The first and most important tip has nothing to do with physical technique. It's about how you think about this position. Most women approach being on top with an audition mindset, like they're performing for his approval and hoping they pass the test. This creates massive anxiety and makes you focus on how you look instead of how you feel. Here's the shift. When you're on top, you're not auditioning. You're the queen on the throne. This is your position of power, not a performance test. Instead of thinking, "Is he liking this?" shift to, "How can I make this feel even better for me?" This isn't selfish. It's actually the secret to making his experience incredible. When you're genuinely focused on your own pleasure, when you're adjusting angles and movements based on what feels good in your body, when you're present and enjoying yourself, he can see it and feel it. That authentic enjoyment is what drives him crazy, not some perfectly executed routine. Think about it this way. Would you rather be with someone who's anxiously performing for your approval, or someone who's confidently taking what they want and clearly loving every second? The same applies to him. Your genuine pleasure and confidence are far more attractive than any technique. So before you even start moving, take a breath and remind yourself, this is your throne. You're not here to impress him. You're here to enjoy yourself while he gets the privilege of watching and feeling you do exactly that. This single mindset shift changes everything else. Here's something most women don't realize: tension in your body kills the experience for both of you. When your hips are tight, your thighs are clenched, your shoulders are hunched, and you're barely breathing because you're so focused on doing it right, he can feel that tension. It makes the whole thing feel mechanical instead of pleasurable. The irony is that relaxation is far sexier than any complicated move you could attempt. When you're relaxed, your movements become fluid and natural. When you're breathing deeply, you stay present instead of getting lost in your anxious thoughts. When your body is soft and loose, you can actually feel the sensations instead of just enduring the position until it's over. This is why comfort matters so much. If your knees are killing you, if you're worried about losing your balance, if you're holding yourself up with shaking thighs because you think you're supposed to hover, you cannot possibly enjoy yourself. And if you're not enjoying yourself, he's not fully enjoying it either. Give yourself permission to sink your weight down. Find positions that feel sustainable for your body. Place your hands somewhere stable so you're not worried about toppling over. Take deep breaths instead of holding tension in your chest. These aren't signs of weakness or laziness. They're the foundation of actually good intimate experiences where both people are present, relaxed, and genuinely enjoying themselves instead of just getting through it. Not all riding positions are created equal, and what works perfectly for one woman's body might be uncomfortable or even painful for yours. This is why experimentation matters. You need to find your angles, not copy what you think you're supposed to do. If you're straddling him with your knees on either side of his hips, try adjusting how high or low you're positioned. Sometimes moving slightly forward or back changes everything. If kneeling is hard on your knees or makes your thighs burn too quickly, try putting your feet flat on the bed in a squatting position instead. This uses different muscles and gives you more control. Leaning forward with your hands on his chest or the headboard creates one angle and sensation. Sitting more upright creates another. Leaning back with your hands on his thighs creates yet another. Each of these variations stimulates different areas and requires different levels of effort from different muscle groups. The goal isn't to find the correct position, it's to discover what feels sustainable and pleasurable for your specific body. Maybe you need more support for your back. Maybe you need a pillow under his hips to change the angle. Maybe you need to switch between positions every few minutes to avoid fatigue. Finding your comfortable angle isn't selfish or picky. It's essential for actually enjoying this position, which is the entire point. Tip number 2, rhythm over speed. The secret men won't tell you. Most women think being on top means bouncing as fast as possible until someone finishes. This is exhausting for you, and often not even what feels best for him. The secret that most men won't explicitly tell you is that consistent rhythm usually feels far better than chaotic speed. Think about it from a sensation perspective. When you're moving erratically or changing pace constantly, his body can't settle into the feeling and build arousal steadily. It's like trying to enjoy music when someone keeps randomly changing the tempo. When you establish a steady rhythm, even if it's slower than you think it should be, his body can relax into the sensation and the intensity builds naturally. This is also much better for your stamina. Trying to maintain frantic bouncing will exhaust your legs in about 90 seconds. A controlled, steady rhythm can be sustained almost indefinitely, which means you can actually enjoy the experience instead of just surviving until your thighs give out. Start with a pace that feels easy and sustainable for you. Pay attention to his breathing and body responses. If he's getting more tense, breathing harder, or gripping you tighter, your rhythm is working. You don't need to speed up dramatically. Small increases in intensity while maintaining that steady rhythm will get both of you where you want to go without burning yourself out. When most people picture riding, they imagine straight up and down bouncing. This can feel good, but it's not the only option and often not even the best one. Let me introduce you to rocking, which many women find far more pleasurable and sustainable. Rocking means moving forward and back instead of up and down. Imagine you're sitting on him and rolling your hips forward toward his chest, then back toward his thighs. in a smooth motion. This keeps him fully inside you the entire time while creating steady pressure and friction. The beautiful thing about rocking is that it stimulates your most sensitive areas with every movement. You're grinding against his pelvis, which means consistent contact with your sweet spot up front. For him, the constant pressure and friction along his entire length often feels more intense than the in and out of bouncing. You can also try circular movements like you're drawing slow circles with your hips or figure-8 patterns. These create entirely different sensations by shifting angles constantly while maintaining connection. The point is that movement variety keeps things interesting for both of you and prevents fatigue. You don't have to pick one and stick with it. Mix rocking, bouncing, and circular movements based on what feels good in the moment. Hip movement can feel intimidating if you're thinking about it too technically. The secret is to stop trying to choreograph it and instead use simple imagery that your body can naturally copy. Imagine you're slow dancing and moving your hips to music only you can hear. That natural sway and roll is exactly what you want. Or picture drawing small, slow circles with your hips like you're stirring something gently. These simple mental images help your body move fluidly without your brain micromanaging every motion. Another helpful image: think about rolling your pelvis forward and back in a wave motion, like your hips are creating a gentle ocean wave. This creates that rocking movement we talked about earlier without you having to consciously control every muscle. The key is that small, controlled movements often look and feel far more sensual than big, exaggerated motions. You don't need to move dramatically to create intense sensation. Subtle hip rolls, gentle grinds, and controlled rhythms are usually far more effective than trying to move like you're in a music video. Let your body find its natural rhythm instead of forcing movements that feel awkward. Trust that small adjustments create big sensations. Physical stability makes everything easier and more enjoyable. If you're wobbling, losing balance, or feeling physically weak, you cannot possibly relax into pleasure. Let's talk about three simple elements that change everything: hand placement, core engagement, and breathing. Your hands need to be somewhere stable. Placing them on his chest gives you support while keeping you close for intimacy. Putting them on the headboard or wall behind him gives you serious leverage for more intense movements. Reaching back to hold his thighs helps if you're leaning back. Find what feels most stable for the movement you're doing. Engaging your core slightly, like you're gently pulling your belly button toward your spine, takes pressure off your legs and helps you move more smoothly. You don't need to flex hard, just maintain a little tension that supports your movement. Finally, breathe deeply and steadily. Most women hold their breath during intense moments, which creates tension and pulls you out of your body. Deep breathing keeps you relaxed, present, and connected to the sensations you're experiencing. These three elements, stable hands, engaged core, steady breath, create the physical foundation that makes you look effortless and feel confident. Tip number 3: eye contact, smirks, and silent teasing. Physical sensation is only part of what makes intimate experiences memorable. The psychological elements often have even more impact. One of the most powerful tools you have when you're on top is your face, specifically your eyes and expressions. Most women close their eyes or look away when they're on top because being watched feels vulnerable. But maintaining eye contact, even for just a few seconds at a time, creates intense psychological connection. When you look down at him while you're moving, especially with a slow, knowing smile or a slightly teasing expression, it communicates complete confidence and control. That visual of you looking directly at him, clearly enjoying yourself and comfortable being watched, can absolutely short circuit his brain in the best possible way. It makes him feel chosen, desired, and slightly overwhelmed by you, which is exactly what sending him crazy means. You don't have to maintain intense eye contact the entire time. That can feel too intense for both of you. Instead, glance down at him periodically. Hold his gaze for a few seconds, smile slightly, maybe bite your lip or raise an eyebrow, then look away again. These brief moments of visual connection create psychological intensity that goes far beyond physical sensation alone. Tip number 4, subtle power play, letting him know you're in charge. Being on top naturally puts you in a position of control, but most women don't fully embrace that dynamic. If you're curious about being more dominant without feeling fake or aggressive, this position offers perfect opportunities for subtle power play that drives men absolutely wild. Simple gestures communicate control without you having to say or do anything dramatic. Gently holding his wrists down against the bed while you're moving tells him to receive, not direct. Placing your hand on his jaw or throat, not aggressively but just with light pressure, creates a moment of "I've got you" that many men find incredibly arousing. You can also use verbal cues that are soft but commanding. Whispering "don't move" or "just watch me" or "let me" gives you explicit control while keeping the tone intimate rather than harsh. Telling him "stay still" when he tries to thrust up toward you reinforces that you're leading this experience. These micro moments of gentle dominance make him feel intensely desired and slightly out of control in a way that heightens everything. You're not being mean or aggressive. You're simply claiming your role as the one guiding the experience, which allows him to fully surrender and just feel everything you're doing. Let's address something important. Being on top shouldn't just be for his pleasure. If you're not genuinely enjoying yourself and building toward your own finish, you're missing the entire point of this position. The beautiful thing about being on top is that you have complete control over angles and movements that work for your body. Most women don't finish from penetration alone, and that's completely normal. The advantage of being on top is that you can easily add the stimulation you actually need. When you're rocking forward and back, you're grinding your most sensitive area against his pelvis with every movement. This consistent contact is exactly what many women need. You can also adjust your angle by leaning more forward or sitting more upright to change where the pressure hits. If you need more direct touch, there's no reason you can't use your hand or a small toy while you're moving. This isn't cheating or admitting defeat, it's taking responsibility for your own pleasure. Here's the thing that makes this even better. When he sees you genuinely building toward your own finish, when he watches you adjusting and touching yourself to get there, it usually drives him absolutely wild. Tip number 5, the buildup and the finish, how to drive him right to the edge. Understanding how to control intensity throughout the experience, not just movement, is what separates okay encounters from unforgettable ones. Think about it like a wave that builds gradually, then crashes, rather than maintaining the same level the entire time. Start slow and teasing. Let the anticipation build before you even begin moving with any real intensity. This creates psychological tension that makes everything feel more charged. Once you establish your rhythm, pay attention to his breathing, his grip on you, the tension in his body. These signals tell you when he's getting close. When you sense he's building toward the edge, you have choices. You can maintain exactly what you're doing to push him over, or you can slow down or pause completely to extend the experience. This teasing control, where you bring him close, then back off, then close again, builds incredible intensity. When you're ready for the finish, combine steady rhythm with eye contact and verbal encouragement. Whispering something like, "I want to feel you," or just his name in that specific tone can be the final push. Stay present and connected rather than checking out mentally, and the entire experience becomes far more intense for both of you. Many women avoid talking about intimate preferences because they're worried it will feel awkward or clinical. The truth is that light, playful communication before and after actually makes everything hotter because it shows you're invested and interested in making things better for both of you. You don't need to have a formal sit down conversation. Simple, casual phrases work perfectly. Before trying something new, you might say, "I've been thinking about being on top more often. Would you be into that?" Most men will enthusiastically agree because it signals you're thinking about intimate time together. Afterward, asking, "What did you love most about that?" or saying, "I really enjoyed when you did this specific thing," opens the door for him to share what he liked too. This creates a feedback loop where you both feel comfortable expressing preferences. The key is keeping it light and positive rather than critical. Focus on what you want more of, not what you didn't like. Phrase things as desires rather than complaints. This approach makes communication feel like flirtation rather than evaluation, which keeps the energy playful and connected. One of the biggest confidence killers is constantly wondering, is he actually enjoying this? The good news is that male body language during intimate moments is usually pretty clear if you know what to look for. Learning to read these signals lets you adjust in real time instead of staying stuck in your anxious thoughts. Common signs he's really into what you're doing include gripping your hips or thighs more firmly, arching his back or hips up toward you, breathing that gets deeper or more ragged, struggling to keep his eyes open, quiet swearing or saying your name, or going very still like he's trying to maintain control. If he's actively trying to move you faster or change the angle, that's feedback too. It might mean he's getting close and wants more intensity, or it might mean the current movement isn't quite working for him. Tuning into these physical responses creates a feedback loop where you're constantly adjusting based on what's clearly working. This takes you out of your head and into the actual experience happening between you. What happens in the minutes immediately after matters more than most people realize. This is when emotional bonding happens, when the experience gets filed away in memory as either just physical or genuinely intimate and meaningful. Instead of immediately rolling away, checking your phone, or jumping up to clean up, try staying connected for a few minutes. Collapse gently onto his chest. Trace lazy patterns on his skin with your fingertips. Whisper something soft like, "That was incredible," or "You feel so good." Even just lying quietly together while your breathing returns to normal creates connection. This softness after intensity makes the entire experience feel intimate rather than transactional. It signals that you weren't just there for physical release, but for genuine connection with him specifically. These small gestures of continued affection and presence are often what men remember most and what makes them feel emotionally close to you beyond just physical attraction. If you're feeling overwhelmed by all these tips, take a breath. You don't need to implement everything at once. In fact, trying to remember and execute all 5 tips simultaneously will just put you back in your head instead of in your body. Pick just one thing to experiment with next time. Maybe you focus on the mindset shift and remind yourself you're the queen, not the performer. Maybe you try rocking instead of bouncing. Maybe you practice holding eye contact for just a few seconds. Even one small change can create a noticeably different experience and build your confidence for trying more. Think of this as playful experimentation, not a test you need to pass perfectly. Here's the final truth that makes everything easier. What usually sends him crazy isn't perfect technique or flawless execution. It's seeing you genuinely enjoying yourself, confident in your body, and fully present in the experience. When you're on top from a place of authentic pleasure rather than anxious performance, when you're moving in ways that feel good for you, when you're unashamed and clearly into it, you become absolutely unforgettable to him. Not because of what your body can do, but because of how you make him feel, desired, captivated, and incredibly lucky.